Hi everyone, it's Tanya MFK here with your 52 Weeks of Momentum lesson recap. We are in week 37. If this is your first time, welcome. I am Tanya Marie Figueres Kreisinger, more easily known as Tanya MFK. I am a member of Benjamin Hardy's 52 Weeks of Momentum course, and I come here every week to share the lessons that I'm learning and insights that I'm gaining as I go through the course. So this is in no way a substitute for the actual course, most obvious reason being I'm not Benjamin Hardy. But if you missed a sign up, then you can tag along with me, get some momentum with me, and then make sure to sign up next year. All right, so as I said, this is week 37, and this was a little less of a lesson that we received this week and more of kind of a check-in. As you may know, if you've been tagging along, this week and this month, we've been focusing on a commitment to waking up at a certain time. So we have chosen a time and we said, yes, I'm going to wake up at that time, whatever time it is. It doesn't have to be 5 a.m. So if you've been tagging along with us for a while, then you know that we started with the 5 a.m. club, which I still think is amazing. But there's a lot of resistance to 5 a.m. I get it. But you do need to pick a time. So hopefully you've chosen a time, you've committed to it, and you're tracking it. Because what we've learned in Compound Effect with Darren Hardy and all over the place is that which is measured can be improved. So if we're not measuring it, if we're not paying attention, then it's easy to bullshit ourselves, to just skew the results and go, yeah, I've been doing good. But based on memories, which are not necessarily the strongest things, right? We want to look at black and white written down data and say, that's how many times I've been waking up on time. And hopefully, if you've made the commitment, then there is no maybe or what ifs. You just are doing it because you've committed to it. In either case, track it, make sure you're writing it down, and do that. And one of the things that he reminded us of is that this is not about perfection. This is not about checking it off. It's not about getting the A grade in the class. Doing this is about creating our best lives for ourselves. These morning routines, first of all, the morning routines can vary. Even though it's a routine, the things that we do can be different each time. The point of the morning routine is to set our day off on the right foot, to put ourselves in the right mind frame, to remind ourselves of our goals, to remind ourselves of the life that we are trying to design. So when we step foot into that day, we're headed in the direction we want to go. We are on a solid ground that we don't get knocked off easily because we know where we're headed. We know we want. We've brought ourselves up in a good place to be ready to take that on and to accomplish that, right? Like that's the whole point of this. So we were just reminded again that it isn't about perfection. It's about, again, it's not about just checking off the list. I did it all and I won. It's about creating that life. It's about having these great mornings. It's about designing the life that we want, right? So that's what it is. We want to get our day closer to 10s. I close the window here. We want to get our day closer to 10s. And that's something we've talked about in the beginning of this course, was tracking our days and giving them a score of 1 to 10. And the reason for that, again, is not to win. Oh, look at I win, I have 10s. I mean, if you are getting 10s every day, like amazing, good, have a wonderful life. That's fantastic that you're doing that. And hopefully most of us, that's where we should be. That's where we want to be, because life is too damn short. Life is too damn short to be living in 1s and 2s and 3s and living days that we are deeming in our own perception as miserable, as not fun, as not the way we want to live. So if we're starting, but it does happen, right? It does happen. There are days that aren't the greatest. So seeing that number, if we're starting to see too many, if we're starting to see a lot of under 5s, even 6s maybe, whatever that is, we can look back and go, what is it? What's going on? Maybe if you haven't noticed, and that there's something consistent. And what about it can I change? Because this is not the life I want to live. I want to live a life closer to 10s. So I think there are lots of things. I know there are lots of things in the last 37 weeks that you can look at that are really all geared towards that. They're all geared towards creating a life towards 10s, right? Is all these different habits, all these different ideas, concepts, books, things that we've been reading. That's all what that's about. All right. So again, that's the goal. The goal is to get towards 10s. So the other thing that we learned this week is that there's going to be a big shift in the course. So that's really exciting. If you've been tagging along, or even if you haven't, 52 weeks of momentum is 52. So far has been 37 weeks of lessons. Every single week is usually a different focus, a different idea, a different concept, perhaps even a different assignment. And so that has been exciting. It has pushed us in a lot of ways. It's also maybe been slightly chaotic, as you kind of never know what to expect next. You never know what you're going to be working on. You never know what's going to pop up and go, holy crap, I need to pivot and do this. And I think there are a lot of great things that happen in that way, where we have to learn to be flexible. We're having to learn to change. We're having to learn to kind of like just, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Oh, we're doing that. Right? There's a nice thing in that. There's also a great thing to say for knowing what to expect as well. So it sounds like they're going to be working on 3-month cycles. And so for those of you who have, missed the sign up, you've been tagging along with me and you're like, yes, I'm excited for next year. That is something that is happening. So I think there's a level of organization. There's a different way of they're going to be focusing on where you're at. There's going to be a lot of assessment for yourself, goal setting, and then really measuring and looking at that with some lessons incorporated over the 3 months. Again, that's really their place to explain. We only kind of got a little gist of it, but what we are apparently going to be shifting to our last 3 months, experiencing this new style. So if you're tagging along, then you can also hang out and see what that looks like and what that means. I also believe that they are going to be launching a public thing to try that's starting, I think, even next month, so like in 2 weeks, that's going to be starting, that you can try this out for like just 3 months. So that's super awesome, because I don't think it's usually a quarterly course. I think you have to commit to a year. So if you want to try it out, you're excited, then go check that out. So you have to go to the Benjamin Hardy website. I don't know all the details, just kind of word on the street, but definitely worth checking out. Get on that mailing list and they'll let you know what's going on. All right. So super excited about that. I'm super excited to share it with you and see how it changes. I mean, it's kind of perfect timing, because we're coming around the corner to where whatever holidays you might celebrate or vacations or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Like, this just tends to be a chaotic time of year for everyone, right? We're moving into that, 37 weeks in, so we're moving into the last 3 months of the year, and a lot of holidays come up, family and travels. I mean, just, it gets chaotic one way or the other. Shopping, traffic. I mean, God, if you're from California, it doesn't even matter if you don't celebrate any holidays, just traffic coming to the area is just like increased, like tenfold, people traveling to your area, even if you're not traveling, it's just like, more people everywhere. So it just gets crazy. So I think this is a really, really great timing for us to try kind of something new and a little more easy to expect. So besides that, there were a few other great points that were brought up. I think we were just really reminded that it's important for us to not get stuck in identifying with where we have been, where we are, or even with our past perceived failures or successes. It's really easy for us to get stuck in an identification with those things. And one of the quotes that he brought up, we don't know who it is. He didn't know who it was, and I couldn't find, when I did some searching, who might have said this, but I think it's a really, really awesome quote. It says, "We should not live our lives as the former anything. We should always strive to make our future brighter than our past." And I love that. Now, I don't know if any of you have a friend like this, but I do have a friend who is who's definitely still stuck in high school. Like, that is the former glory days, and that is where the identification still lies. This many years, I won't say how many years, but this many years later, he's still very, very in high school. The complaints, the issues are still all around, like this old situations and the things that happen. Like, that identification with that time, that former high school student, is so strong. And it's difficult, I think, and I've watched it play out over the years, to move into something new into their life, because there's still this former, that's where they are. Right. And I think it doesn't allow a lot of room for new experiences or new people. And so I love that quote. That quote just was really, really strong. And I think, we see that a lot, even with the former child star, right? That whether it's the society that puts that label on them, that sucks, right? That's something like that always, like, it's there. But more so, I think if we've seen them hold on to that or try to hold on to that, we've been around enough years of child stars to kind of see, like, the differences that it goes, to see where they develop. And the ones that really hold on to that identity and keep trying to be that person, you see that there's a little stunted. They tend to be more problems than the others who grow and develop into something else. Maybe I think a great one for this, I'm just gonna randomly mention this, I just thought about it, is I probably gonna say her name wrong, but Mayim Bialik or whatever, she was Blossom, the old TV show back in the, like, I don't know, late 80s or 90s or something like that. that was a child star, a teenager, early teen, preteen child star. And she did that. She was Blossom. And then she left, and she's like a neurosurgeon or something now, right? Like, she's not the former child star. She's a neurosurgeon. And then from there, she's now back in TV, what many of you may or may not know, in The Big Bang Theory, right? As the, I think probably another, she's one of the scientists, right? They're all scientists. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at that. I'm sure any of you like big fans are like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know who that is. Sheldon's girlfriend. That's who it is. Okay. Anyway, like, she's not the former, they don't go, oh, that former Blossom girl. Like, she's now all these other things, and she continues to create that future. I think she just wrote a book as well. So she's not allowing herself to be stuck in any place. She's not identifying and holding on to that identity. So that was a totally random little path I went on over there. But I think that is the point of what Benjamin Hardy was bringing up, is that it's easy to get stuck in those identities. And when we get stuck there, obviously, when we're stuck in any situation, what does that mean? That we're not moving forward, right? So super important to notice those things, really focus on the future, letting go of the past, whether it's negative things or positive things like successes. We can also stick on those successes, and we tie our identities to the success, and we get stuck there. And we can get stuck there even in future success, right? There's a quote, and he quoted here, Jim Rohn says, don't stay at the table of success for too long. In order to get success again, you need to stay hungry. Love that. But the thing with that, right, is like you get success, you get a certain level of success, and then it also can stunt you from future successes, trying something new. And I've seen this a lot when I worked in music, and I worked with artists, and they would get an album, and they would put out music, all different kinds of music, and then one particular album would get some accolades, and people start following them, get excited about it. And then as an artist, they're always looking at different and new things and inspirations, and they'd be like, wow, I want to do this thing. And then they go, oh, but my audience expects this. My audience thinks it wants to see this. And what if I put that out and nobody likes it? And it was so much easier when no one was watching, because you could just put it out because you liked it, because you wanted to, because that was what inspired you, and no one was paying attention. So holding on to this level of success also holds you back, because you're like afraid to not have it, that same one all the time, right? And that sucks. Like, that's not the life we want. We don't want a life of, we don't want a life of consistency. I mean, some of you may, but we want it to be exciting, right? That we want to design where we want to go. And of course, I think following our heart and what we're motivated by is part of that. So we don't want other things to hold that back from us. I think that's the point of it. So, as we've been reading in the books, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Letting Go, and The Body Keeps Score, I think we've also learned that these identities can also get held in our body, in our physical things, where it just becomes a knee-jerk mental reaction to think a certain way, instead of being conscious to go, okay, I'm aware that I'm getting stuck in this situation. My brain is going to think these things because we're all tied to this identity. I need to be bigger than that, see that, and then go ahead and make the changes. Otherwise, we kind of get stuck. Well, I'm clearly thinking this, so that means it must be this, and right? It all gets stuck. So we've learned that our body can also get stuck there as well. So super important thing to remember. The way we break through this is by staying clear. Coming back, and we talked last week about visiting our goals again and again and again and again and again, right? You might hear me like, oh my gosh, it seems so redundant sometimes. But as we even learned again with the compound effect, with the interview with Darren Hardy, we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. It's not so much always about learning the newest thing. It's about learning the same thing over and over and over again, hopefully, and not a mistake-based pattern where we really can hold it, identify it, and becomes part of us, right? So setting your goals is not a set it and forget it thing. It is a skill. It's an actual skill, right? You have to get better at it. People in the NBA, the famous basketball players, they don't make it to the NBA, and you're like, cool, I don't have to practice anymore. Like, they actually, complete opposite. They're continually practicing harder and harder, more and more, because they're going to continue to get better, continue to make a brighter future, continue to do those things. And so it is so important that in the same way as goal setting, getting better at goal setting, for us to go back and revisit it and make sure that we're on the path that we want, that it's still the path that we want, and have that clarity. So coming back and visiting those things now with 3 months left of the year, so important. It's something I'm definitely doing, looking at again, readjusting. I think I've adjusted, and it might not always be a readjustment. It's just a reconfirmation too. Like, yeah, that's right. I still want that. This is where I am. So if I want to hit this still, but this last 3 months, this is what I'm going to do, blah, 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 right? That's what that is. So I mean, that's kind of it, right? That's kind of it. It was a really short, quick lesson. There were 2 more quotes. One, Benjamin Hardy says over and over again, and it's a Leonardo DiCaprio quote, and it's that each level of your life will demand a different you. And I think that is, even though we may have heard it a lot of times, again, super, super important to remember that if, we're here and life is here, then this works for now. But life is going to keep going on and keep going on and keep going on. And if we're not coming up and matching it and getting those same tools, then we're going to have problems, because life is going to be here and we're going to be here trying to use the same stuff that only worked here. It doesn't work this way, right? There's something that needs to bridge that gap, and it needs to be the newer version of us, right? And this is how people get stuck in personalities. This is my scientific explanation right here, if that helps. But I think it's a really, really simple, clear statement of what needs to happen. And that's what our growth is. And as we learned with Joe Dispenza and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, is that I think it's something like 95% of us are stuck in our ideas and a cap on who we are and who we develop to be by age 35. Like, that is insane, right? And in the same exact percentage, I think it's like 95% of our body and what our actions are and our thought processes are actually already like preset, because we've just put them into a manner, we've not been conscious of it. And so only 5% of us is able to like want to switch or make differences. And he says that's why when somebody says, oh, I want to lose weight, it's like 5% of your body and your mind is telling, is saying, yeah, I want to do it, where the 95% is like, no, this is what we do now. This is where we are. So that's why we start it and then tend to like fall apart. That's why New Year's resolutions fall within the first 3 months, because we are not, because we're working against a big thing and we don't realize that. So it's so important that we're aware of what this 95% of us is doing, what it's stuck in, how to undo it, awareness is the first step, how to undo it, and then that 5% gets bigger, right? Then it's like not just 5%, it's like, oh, there's 10%, 20%, 20%, until there's a big part of us that's like, yes, I'm more whole and I'm ready to make this next step, right? And that's that new person. That's that newness. That's how we break out of this redundancy as well, this like stagnant part of us. One of the things that he mentions in one of the videos that was on these lessons and also in the book is creating newness every day is actually one of the ways that we do that. Even taking a different route to work, doing your hair differently, something, creating newness is what helps break that, right? And as that's also what's going to bring us to be that new version of ourselves each time to meet life's demands and hopefully meet it with grace. So there was one other quote that I really loved, and this one is, if you're not embarrassed by who you were last year, you didn't grow very much. And I love that one. It's kind of a little like, boop, kind of gets you a little right here. But I think it's awesome because I can look back even at January this year and say, wow, like I was kind of a grump. I didn't think I was. My husband thought I was. I didn't think so. And now I totally see it. I see the negativity that was coming out of my mouth that I thought was just informative, but was actually very negative. And I'm embarrassed by that. I'm embarrassed that was the way that I was putting myself out there. The way I was reacting to things, the way I allowed things to spiral me. And I can see the growth already. And I still got 3 months to go. So I got 3 months to like continue to become the next level of myself and be awesome just for this year, right? Just this year. And then next year I'll be looking back on, that and be like, wow, I'm even like this now. So I love that. I just think, if we're not embarrassed, again, going back to the high school thing, how many times have you looked back at old pictures and been like, wow, I can't believe I did my hair that way, or I can't believe I dressed like that, or did those things. And now that you're older and wiser and all of those things, it's easy to look back and go, wow, it's kind of embarrassing, because you've grown so much. You've grown so much since then. So that's the same. Why do we stop, right? That's something we end up stopping at some point for some reason, though. And we just stay, or we find like the one thing we think works and we stay there and we stay there. I'm sure you guys have seen these makeover shows all the time. All the time we are looking and we're like, oh, but that person, they could be so pretty, or they get stuck with their hair a certain way, or like their clothes a certain way, and that's all they'll do, and like their potential, like everyone else sees it, right? Everyone's like, oh, hello, it's right there, and they're like, I'm just uncomfortable, and you're like, come on, get over it, and like, I don't know, I know you've seen this. It's not only me. That's what we do. I think when we get to that 35, that stuck place, like that Joe Dispenza is talking about, is we all become this like really sad contestant on a makeover show, except for there's no one else coming to do the makeover, right? It's just maybe someone sees it and like, wow, there's a lot of potential there. We're the only ones who can direct that show. We're the only ones that can come in and make that lasting change, right? Because just like a makeover show, if they show up and someone does their makeup and does their hair and does the clothes, it doesn't mean they've learned to do it. All it has done is shown them the potential. All it has done is put the mirror in front of them to go, oh, wow, this could be, like, that's actually kind of awesome, right? So, but they haven't walked away with the tools. And that's what we're doing now, right? Is learning and walking away with those tools and seeing the difference and looking in that mirror and going, wow. And I just saw this quote. This just came to mind. I wanted to share it. And below, but I'll see if I can paraphrase it now. But it was something like, the idea or version of hell is when you die and your current self meets the self you could have been, right? And looking at all the things that you like didn't do and held back and all that, I was like, oh, like that was kind of strong and heavy. That was a tough one, but like, again, that's what we're here to do, is we want to design a life that we want. We don't want to live by default. All right. So I hope that was kind of like a lower note, but I hope there was some inspiration in the things that you heard today. If you like this and you like hearing me explain it, then definitely click on that subscribe button. You'll get notified when our next lesson is up. And you can follow me at Tanya MFK on Facebook and Instagram and learn how to take these lessons to build your business, because that's actually what I do. We teach entrepreneurs how to be the best selves and grow the best businesses. So hopefully I'll see you there and see you next week. Thanks so much for hanging out. Bye.